Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mia Luyando with Badass Art. We are back on another coloring adventure. Today we are using Pandafly color charcoal pencils. And yesterday we worked on this cute little portrait from our Dragonfly Dreams book. And we decided to practice with our charcoal pencils before we jumped into our Puddle Town portraits. I felt like that was a good idea. Charcoals can be a little finicky. They're different if you haven't used them before. I hadn't used them for about 10 or 15 years, so when mine came in, I definitely wanted to practice, and I did for about a week before I started this video. And then I grabbed Puddle Town, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't the best place to start. Let's have a practice run. And I'm glad I did, because if you watched video 1, you'll see that I kind of grabbed, I always say grab your darkest color first if you're doing a light skin tone, that way you won't go too dark, and I went too dark. So it was a learning moment. We're still working with that, but I think we're getting there. We're getting there. We're blending her out. We'll fix her. So I wanted to just go over a couple of the tools I'll be using. I ordered these little blending stumps from Amazon. I think they were less than $5. I'll put the link in the description below. This is what they look like, and as you're blending, you know, the little tip kind of gets dirty. This is in that set, and you just kind of scratch it to get it cleaned off, and that way you don't move the color onto a place in your portrait that you don't want it to be. Now, do you have to have that? Absolutely not. You can get a scratch piece of paper, just regular paper, and, you know, scribble along until you get that color off of the blender. You can use sandpaper, you can use, I think some people have said they use tape. They just, you know, kind of stick it to the tape until the color comes off. I don't know if I would do that or not. I would think that would make it sticky. But I have heard people say they use it, so, you know, if it works, it works. And what else? Oh, chalk is kind of crumbly as you put it on. So if you smear it with your hands, you know, if you kind of get it away, sometimes it can leave a little trail of color behind. You don't want that. So I usually just brush it away with an old makeup brush, something that you can pick up at the dollar store for pretty cheap. Okay. Let's jump back in. The Pandafly colors do not have numbers, and they have a strange little 3-letter code on the tip, and I'm assuming that is pink, P&K, but it's kind of a flesh tone color. And I'm going to go in and just kind of go over these little darker spots that I put on her nose so that we can blend those in a little more deeply. And I also wanted to add a little more color around her eye area. And before I blend that in with the blender, I'm gonna go back in with our darker. This is the darkest color we're using on this portrait so far. And it is what I'm assuming brown BN. I'm gonna add just a little bit more up here, not a lot. And we're gonna blend those two together. And just a touch here. The same on this side. And you just barely need to touch the page. It's so, I mean, it's so chalky. It just, you know, it just sort of melts onto the paper when you touch it. Now, you grab that blending stump and you just kind of move the chalk around. And that is the biggest difference between charcoal pencils and regular coloring pencils, wax or oil based, is you are actually moving the pigment around on the paper. You are blending two different colors, literally blending them together. You just have to have patience and practice, and it is a beautiful finish. I really love the effect that these pencils have, but it is definitely something that you have to be patient with yourself. And I think charcoal is one of those you love it or you hate it kind of mediums. You either really, really enjoy it, or just, you know, it's just messy and you don't want to be bothered with the fixative spray, and it's just a love or hate relationship. I don't want quite that much on her nose right now. And there we go. Now I'm going to go back up here to her forehead and work on this a little more. It's just bugging me. I don't like the way this looks right now. I'm just very lightly going in. Now when we add her hair color, this harsher line up here is going to disappear. Now let's see if we got that kind of darker smudgy look blended out. And if we did, which it looks like we did, then I'll lighten it up. Oop, almost. It's habit. I'm so used to taking my fingers and doing this. I'm going to go back in with white and go right back over the top of it. And I'm adding a little more pressure because I am trying to lighten this up a bit. So I don't mind, you know, the additional pigment here. I think that's pretty good, and if I still don't like it by the time I get to her hair, I'll just bring her hair a little farther down. Nothing we can't fix. Now I'm gonna finish out these darker little shadows, and then we're gonna add some deeper colors here and there, and some blush. Okay, now this was the offending pink from earlier that I didn't like up here, but I think I'm gonna go back and add just a bit of it on her lips, not a lot. Just a touch of color for right now. Just barely there. Now I'm searching for, I think this is super dark, I know. I believe this is kind of a, it's really kind of a grape color. I'm gonna go in just above the lash right here, right in the crease of her eye. And I'm just barely touching this pencil to the paper. Now you don't have to choose the same colors as me, and if you're not feeling adventurous and wanting to put a darker color on her eye, don't feel like you have to do exactly what I'm doing. By all means, just, you know, work at your own pace and grab a different color, but I really wanted to see how this would look here. I'm getting that kind of smoky eye look. I thought if we, you know, kind of had this little purpley, smoky eye and the kind of a honey color iris, that might be kind of pretty. Let's try some over here. Not a lot, we just barely need a little bit of color. I'll take it. Yeah, I'm gonna get like a little more aggressively purple. And add just a touch right there. And that's probably about all I'll add to her eyes right now. And you can see how it just barely, you can just barely touch the color to the page, and you've got so much pigment. I'm actually gonna see if I can like scrub a little bit of that out. Yeah, and that's another thing about these blenders. They can give you a measure of eraser if you apply it on there nice and clean. Okay. Not bad. I keep saying that. It's like I'm so out of practice with these pencils. It's been so long that I keep, I'm like, okay, I'll take it. That's good. That's good. Now for her cheeks, I do want a bit of warmth there, but there aren't a lot of really good, like super good blush colors. So I'm going to go back to this one. That's really the only pink in this set. And I'm going to go right here. Right at the top of her cheek. And I'm not putting a lot. I'm just kind of, and I don't want it to be too splotchy because, you know, sometimes it just sort of stains. So that's as far as I'm gonna go until I see how this is gonna blend in. And let me kind of clean this off too. I've got a lot of dark brown and purple on here. We don't need that on her cheek. That would not work out at all, would it? So let's see how this goes. Now you don't have to add blushes or anything, but it does give it, you know, more of a realistic touch. And when they have these nice little rosy cheeks. I think she needs a little bit more. I'm just going to add a little bit more. Again, I am just barely touching the paper here. I like that. Let's do the other side and her nose and finish off her eyes and lips, and we will have ourselves a pastel pencil portrait. Just tiny little spots. I'm just gonna rub this with my finger. I'm gonna add a little bit of this color right up here. Just the tiniest little bit pink to each side of her nose. Now, I still keep coming back to her lips. I'm kind of searching up here to see what my choices are. I've got this color. That's certainly not purple, but I don't want her lips to be very dark. Just a touch of color, but a little bit more than what she's got right now. Let's see if that's enough. And the thing about these colors is they're just so intense. We don't want to get overwhelmed with something. I'll take that. Let's add some highlights so they look nice and glossy. Okay, and there we have it. A pale skin tone with charcoal pencils. If you have stuck with me through both of these 30-minute tutorials, thank you. Thank you so much. And if you don't mind subscribing, leaving a like on the channel, that helps so much. I would really appreciate it. Let me know what you'd like to see. Next one, we will definitely be in Puddletown. We will be working on our cute little fairy portrait in the rain, and we will be using our Pandafly. We'll also be adding in the Color charcoal pencil set. There are 72 colors in that one, so we will have a few more colors to choose from, and it will give the rest of our viewers out there a couple more days to get their Puddletown books in. I wanted to give everyone you know, a little bit of a practice, and I wanted another practice run with these pencils. And a few people had written into me saying that they had received their Puddletown book, and then a couple of them said that they were still waiting for it to arrive. So we will jump into Puddletown in our next video. That should come out on, let's see, today is Friday for me, so it will be probably Wednesday of next week, which will be about the, you know, in the, let me see, today is the 14th, about the 19th, 20th, somewhere in there of June. So I hope everyone is enjoying these pencils. I hope everyone is enjoying their books. I hope everyone has a great Father's Day weekend. Have a great day.